Did you ever wonder why the American flag is red, white, and blue? Do you know why these symbols are on the back of a $1 bill? Do you know who wrote the Pledge of Allegiance or why we say it? America has lots of symbols. Americans celebrate our country in many ways. Let's learn about the symbols of the United States. The American flag is one of our country's most important symbols. Where did the first American flag come from and when? Here's the story. The story of the American flag begins a long time ago in colonial America. At that time, America was made up of 13 colonies that belonged to England. Each colony was separate and independent. The people living in the colonies, called colonists, had complaints about King George III and the government in England. They wanted more of a say in how they were governed. Some colonists staged protests against the king. In response, the king sent troops to keep order, but the situation got more violent. In April of 1775, a small band of colonists called militiamen faced off against an army of British soldiers called the Redcoats. 1 month later, representatives or delegates from the colonies met in Philadelphia. The delegates of the Continental Congress agreed that there should be one American army made up of soldiers from all the colonies, so they created the Grand American Army. Who was the commander-in-chief of the army? I bet you know his name. It was George Washington. Washington and Benjamin Franklin led a committee to design a flag for the army, one that would represent all the colonies. What they came up with is a flag that had 13 stripes, one for each of the 13 colonies. The British flag, known as the Union Jack, was placed in the upper left-hand corner. It showed the relationship between the colonies and England. You see, the colonies were still part of England, and what the colonists wanted and were fighting for were their rights as Englishmen. About a year later, on July 4, 1776, the American colonies declared their independence from England. Now the new country needed a flag of its own, a flag that would be a symbol of liberty and freedom. Who made the first flag? Well, tradition says that Betsy Ross of Philadelphia sewed the first flag, but nobody really knows for sure. On June 14, 1777, Congress passed a resolution creating the flag. June 14th, that's when we celebrate Flag Day. The resolution stated that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Congress forgot one important thing. They never said how the stars and stripes were to be arranged. So there were all kinds of different versions of the flag. The flag we salute today was adopted in 1959, when Hawaii became the nation's 50th state. Today, the flag flies proudly over government buildings, schools, public places, private companies, and homes all over the country. It's displayed in parades and in art. The flag even flies on the moon. Today, our flag remains a symbol of freedom and independence. You know the words to the Pledge of Allegiance, but when was it written and who wrote it? Here's the story. The Pledge of Allegiance first appeared in 1892 in a children's magazine called The Youth's Companion. Francis Bellamy, who worked for the magazine, wrote the pledge as part of a celebration for the 400th anniversary of the voyage of Christopher Columbus. That year, on Columbus Day, more than 12 million children across the country recited what was called the Youth's Companion Pledge. It went like this: I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Not exactly what we say today. There have been a few changes. In 1923, a committee of veterans decided to change the words "my flag" to "the flag of the United States of America." In 1954, a congressman proposed the words "under God" be added because Abraham Lincoln called the United States one nation under God in the Gettysburg Address. There are only 31 words in the pledge, but some of the words are pretty difficult. So let's go through the pledge a couple of words at a time. I pledge allegiance to the flag. The word pledge means promise. Allegiance means to be loyal. Of the United States of America. Well, that's not so hard. To the Republic. Republic is the kind of government we have, where representatives are elected by the people, for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible. Indivisible means it can't be divided, with liberty and justice for all. Liberty means freedom, and justice means fairness. This is what the Pledge of Allegiance really means. I promise to be loyal to the flag and the kind of government that it represents. One nation that can't be divided, with freedom and fairness for everyone. The Pledge of Allegiance was officially adopted in 1942. It's not a law that you have to say the pledge, but all across America, that's how many students begin the day. When you look at the back side of a dollar bill, there are two circles. They're both sides of the seal of the United States. In the circle are different pictures or elements. Let's look at them one by one. The first thing you notice is our national bird, the eagle, one of America's best-known symbols. Throughout history, the eagle has been a symbol of independence, freedom, and strength. Did you know that Congress argued for 6 years about what our national bird should be? You see, Benjamin Franklin wanted it to be the turkey. Here's what he said. The turkey is a much more respectable bird, and withal, a true original native of America. The eagle eventually won out. This is a picture of the Great Seal of the United States of America. In the eagle's right talon is an olive branch, a symbol of peace, with 13 leaves and 13 berries. 13 for the original 13 colonies. In the left talon, there are 13 arrows. The arrows are a symbol of war and show a willingness to defend American ideals. On the chest of the eagle is a shield with 13 stripes. In the eagle's beak is a banner with the Latin words E pluribus unum. That's our national motto, and it means out of many, one, to symbolize the fact that 13 independent colonies joined together to form one nation. Above the eagle is a field with 13 stars, surrounded by bright rays breaking through the clouds. The constellation of stars represents a new nation, taking its place among other independent nations. That's one side of the seal. Now, let's look at the other. The most notable thing here is the unfinished pyramid. It has 13 layers of stone, representing the 13 original states. It was left unfinished so there would be more room for new states that would one day join the Union. Above the pyramid is the all-seeing eye, showing that the spiritual is above the material. Above that is the Latin motto, Anuit Coeptis, which means he has favored our undertaking. On the base of the pyramid are the Roman numerals 1776, the year of independence, and below that are more Latin words, Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means a new order of the ages. Today, the Great Seal is used on important government papers, medals, documents, and of course, money. It's a proud symbol of American independence and strength. Striped pants, red, white, and blue hat, white beard. You know this character. It's Uncle Sam. Was there really even an Uncle Sam? Many people think that Uncle Sam was named after a real person. His name was Samuel Wilson. Many people really called him Uncle Sam. During the War of 1812, Uncle Sam Wilson supplied meat to American soldiers. He would stamp the letters U.S. on barrels full of meat. U.S. meant it was for the United States. Soldiers, seeing the U.S. stamp, said it was from Uncle Sam. The idea just caught on. Why does Uncle Sam wear striped pants and a tall top hat? Let's find out. Back during the Revolutionary War, British soldiers called the colonial soldiers Yankee Doodles and Brother Jonathans. Yankee Doodle was a backwards country boy who put a feather in his hat and pretended he was rich and fancy. Brother Jonathan was another simple country boy who wore striped pants, a coat with tails, and a top hat. The British meant both characters to be insults, but the Americans turned them around and used them as proud symbols. Yankee Doodle became a popular patriotic sign, and over time, Brother Jonathan evolved into a white-bearded man who became a symbol for our nation, Uncle Sam. Did you ever wonder who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner and why? Well, let's find out. During the War of 1812, Baltimore, Maryland faced attack by British forces. Fort McHenry guarded the entrance to the harbor, and the commander of Fort McHenry had a large flag made to fly over the fort so the enemy would be sure to see it. On the morning of September 14, 1814, the British attacked, and it continued through the night. Francis Scott Key anxiously awaited news of the battle. At dawn the next day, he looked through a telescope to see the large flag still flying. In his excitement, he began to write a poem called The Defense of Fort McHenry. It began with the words, "Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early light." The poem was published, and the title was changed to The Star-Spangled Banner. The poem was then set to the music of a popular song. In 1931, Congress made the Star-Spangled Banner our national anthem. This statue is a symbol of freedom to people all over the world. It's called the Statue of Liberty, or Lady Liberty. Did you know it was a gift from France? Let's find out more. The official name is Liberty Enlightening the World. The statue was designed by Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, a French sculptor. It was a gift from France to the United States to celebrate the 100th anniversary of American independence. The entire statue wasn't finished in time for the celebration, so Bartholdi sent over the arm and the torch to show people what the statue would look like. Because it was so large, the statue was sent to America in 214 crates. It was reconstructed on Bedloes Island in New York Harbor. At the time it was dedicated in 1886, it was the largest statue ever built and the largest structure in the world. On the base of the statue is a poem written by Emma Lazarus. It celebrates the idea that America is a place where people from different countries and cultures can come together. The Statue of Liberty is no longer the world's largest statue, but it is perhaps the best-known symbol of freedom for people anywhere in the world. The construction of the Pennsylvania State House began in 1732 and was completed in 1751. Soon, however, it became the birthplace of our nation and a symbol of America. Today it is known as Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was in the walls of this famous building where members of the Second Continental Congress met and adopted the Declaration of Independence in 1776. The document declared that the original 13 American colonies were independent states and no longer a part of the British Empire. After the American Revolution, the 13 states became known as the United States of America. In 1787, delegates from most of the 13 states came together during the Philadelphia Convention held at Independence Hall. After several months of debate and compromise, the delegates of the convention signed the Constitution of the United States of America, the document that served as the foundation for our nation's first national government. Today, Independence Hall is part of Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia. On September 11, 2001, the buildings standing at One World Trade Center were destroyed, and more than 2,700 people perished when hijacked planes crashed into the Twin Towers in New York City. 13 years later, One World Trade Center was rebuilt and features America's tallest skyscraper, nicknamed the Freedom Tower. At the top of the building is a spire that makes the Trade Center soar to a symbolic 1,776 feet into the sky. It is a reference to the year the Declaration of Independence was signed and the birth of our nation in 1776. Today, it is an American symbol of freedom. Now you know the stories behind some of the best-known symbols of our country. You know how they came to be and why. All of our symbols help remind us of our country and our freedom.